Welcome to Fear with Christine Spratley. Living like a head in charge, the podcast where Christine says fear, questions everything, and takes bold action. Christine Spratley is a former professional boxer, nanny, and 29-plus year corporate warrior turned founder of HBIC Advisors, where she is a public speaker and coach. She's been saying fear her whole life, many times without even realizing it. So tune in, spread the word, and get ready, because this isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. This is Christine Spratley. Welcome to Fuck Fear with Christine Spratley, living like a head bitch in charge. How are all the HBICs out there today, and how are all those that support HBICs? I know I've got some listeners that are supporters and don't consider themselves HBICs, so thank you. Today is another pantry item. It's a welcome to the HBIC pantry. The title is HALT, Feed Me Seymore. Joe, you know where Feed Me Seymore comes from?
Yeah, that's a great musical.
It's a musical. It's a movie.
The movie's fantastic.
I've never seen a musical.
Oh, yeah. My kids did it in high school. Yeah, they did a high school musical version of it, and it was pretty good. But, yeah, my favorite thing from that movie is definitely Steve Martin as the dentist.
Yes. Oh, my God.
His song about just encapsulates dentists perfectly. Like, my mom said I was mean, so I should be a dentist. I mean, I can't sing, but it was great.
I think kids and teenagers and people that what movie we're talking about or is Little Shop of Horrors.
Right.
If you've never seen it. And I think that that's a movie that people need to see for a lot of reasons. But I also think that Steve Martin is a comedian that people should go back and watch his stuff. Usually I'm like on the Richard Pryor train, but I go back to Mel Brooks and, you know, some of their stuff and Blazing Saddles and all that stuff. Yeah. But I also love the Steve Martin. I like his movies even from back then.
Yeah.
And
The Jerk, that was such a good
The Jerk. Film. Oh, yeah. And what was it? Was it Roseanne? The one with the nose? The nose one, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Roxanne. So anyway, well.
And we get to see Rick Moranis is coming.
Yes.
Spaceballs 2.
Yes.
He's coming out of retirement.
Oh, my gosh. I am so glad that I'm old and I know all this stuff. And I'm glad that they're bringing back the cast from the originals. That's what I don't like. I don't like it when they redo movies and they put in new people. It's like, no, give me the old guys. They were the funny. They delivered the lines right.
Yeah.
So anyway, today's episode is kind of welcome to the HBIC pantry. And it's called HALT, Feed Me Seymore. And HALT is an acronym, and it stands for Hungry, Angry, Lonely, and Tired. And I had a sponsor, as you know, I'm in recovery and have been for a while now. And one of my first sponsors was like, she gave me this. And to give you an idea about me, and if you haven't heard my podcast before, you may not know this, but if you have, this is not going to surprise you. An example of kind of who I am. When I would call or dial into the tech people, when I worked in corporate, especially at EY, I remember this. Literally, they would go, quit hitting the keyboard. Quit hitting return. Stop. And because I'd be messing with it. I'd be screwing with it. I'd be, And so it's funny because that kind of sums me up a lot of times. It's like, just stop, even if it's for a second. And so I wanted to give you this acronym as a pantry item. And the way that I use it is there are times when I am going and I'm just riding and I'm cruising and I'm busting and I feel the emotion and I'm angry or I'm lonely or I'm tired and I'm going to get you, I'm going to get me mine and I'm going to give you yours, or somebody has pissed me off, or, it feels like all of my buttons are on the outside. All of my emotional buttons and all my emotional triggers are just like all over me. It's like I broke out in zits. I broke out in triggers today. And sometimes it'll last for a while. And sometimes, and sometimes it'll just hit me. And what it was is that my first sponsor would just say, halt, stop. Just stop. And then she would ask me, are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? And one, it got me to stop. And it wasn't even so much all the time that I was on, I was going 115, but it was, I could feel me ramping up, or I was in that mental loop about something, or I just felt off. You've heard me call it before, the itchy sweater, And so the question that I have for you, when I say halt, and you're just feeling irritable, they also call it restless, irritable, and discontent sometimes. And when you're feeling that, ask yourself, when was the last time you ate? Seriously, when was the last time you ate? Now, I was doing this morning, and I was getting ready to come here, and I was late.
I was late.
I know, but I was late. I was late.
When I texted you and I'm like, I'm going to be late, you were like,
I know. I was like, here, and
late.
you were here. I was like, what the hell? And I'm late. What the hell? And but I was late. And what was funny is I'd written all this up, and I had not eaten. And now I had my London fog, my lavender London fog, but I had not eaten. And so when was the last time you ate? When you get like that, go, halt, stop. Am I hungry? When did I eat? And typically for a while I had to go, well, I'm not hungry, but then I had to change it to, when was the last time I ate? And no, a double half-caff latte does not count as eating. I mean, I would have 3 of those in the morning and go for it. So no, think about that. And this is about, so what I did was, I have this and I've been practicing it, but because I didn't want to just come here and go do this, I wanted to see about, how does it make sense from our physical standpoint to halt? And how does hunger affect and trigger being hungry, angry, lonely, and tired? Or not hungry, but angry, lonely, and tired. So it's almost, and what I found was this is actually true. HALT is like your emergency brake. It stops. And it's not because something's broken, but it's because your blood sugar might be off, which then makes it harder not to be angry, lonely, and tired. I'm not saying the person isn't annoying or the person didn't say something, but it's kind of like right sizing. I don't need to take a bazooka to them. Maybe I shouldn't declare war. Maybe I should just set a boundary. But it's hard sometimes to do that when I don't have the body chemistry acting in it's harder when I don't have the body chemistry. So one of the things that, it's not just that hunger is something like I'm craving, okay? It's a chemical hijack that sets off the anger and the loneliness and the fatigue. And I think that's important because sometimes I don't feel hungry, but if I don't think about what I've had that day and what that means, then I'm just, like my glucose drops, okay? So my frontal cortex, my PFC is what they call it, goes offline. So it affects my, ability to have clear thinking and my good judgment, okay? And guess who shows up? My oh shit chemical. Cortisol rises, all right? So why does that trigger it? Because my body sees food deprivation, like I'm hungry, like you haven't given me the nutrients, as a threat. So it rises it to compensate. So then what happens then? Stress takes over. And we love it when an asshole's in front of us working with us and our stress and they're adding stress. So then our cortisol adds stress. Makes for a great way to practice peace and love and happiness with them. It's one of those things where I don't think I realized, it was just an acronym that I used, but I didn't realize what happens in my body.
You remember those old Snickers commercials? That's what it makes me
Oh,
think of.
gosh, yeah.
the person would be really angry and mad, and the person was played by Danny DeVito or Betty White or something, and they just tackled somebody.
Yep.
And then they eat a Snickers, and then they turn back into the regular person. They're like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah. And we call it being hangry.
Yeah.
But it's actual a thing. It is actual thing. So it's literally released by your adrenal glands when your body perceives stress. You know, it signals we're under attack. It raises your blood pressure. It spikes your sugar. I mean, and then it suppresses the digestion, which is what you kind of need. So literally, the cortisol keeps you in that fight or flight mode. You're already being triggered by someone who's an ass or a situation that's stressful or whatever. But then you add on top of that. So you feel racing thoughts. I feel short tempers, crying. Crying at commercials. And it's not because we're like emotional. Like that's the response I get. But understand it's part of our body. Like it's not like we're just off our kilter. You know, and then I did this and it was something that triggered me. I literally started yelling at Abby because she was breathing too loud. I was like, God, yeah. You know, I was like, wait a minute. And she's just looking at me like, I'm just breathing, you know?
Yeah.
But how many, you know, so think about this. And that's just cortisol. And then you've got ghrelin spikes. And ghrelin, I call the gremlin hormone. Okay? Okay. Because what it does is it's in your stomach, okay, when it's empty. So it's secreted into your stomach when it's empty or thinks it's empty. That I didn't know, which is the difference. So the longer you go without food, the louder it screams. It literally is like, whoop, okay, we're dying here. But you're not. But your body doesn't know that. Okay, so in women, actually, and listen to this. This is, again, know your body. In women, ghrelin ramps up faster and more intensely than men. So think about this. All right, we're trying to hold our shit together, right? We've got a situation that's stressful. We haven't eaten. We're, you know, whatever. We missed it, or we drank 2 lattes, and we, you know, or what I love is we're on the diet now because we got to be skinny, you know, so we're not going to eat. And so we've kind of set the stage and our body's ramping up, right? It's almost like it's not anticipating a fight, but damn, we're ready. And so then we get a stressful situation, okay? So then we are more sensitive and more emotional. We have, you know, and have more emotional spirals than men. Like our body works that way. And ladies, especially if you are in your 30s to 50s and older and are dealing with your hormonal fluctuation, PMS, perimenopause, and then we have menopause that is untreated. Look at what this does to us. It signals to your brain that you're heavy. It increases our appetite. We start to obsess about food. This was something that with me, I did a lot. And I didn't obsess about, it was really weird. I wouldn't obsess about, oh my God, I'm hungry, I need to eat. I would like have food thoughts, and then I'd obsess about why am I thinking about food thoughts? It was the weirdest thing. And it was like, I just got in these loops, and I would do it not just about food, but other things. So it's also linked, ghrelin is also linked to your mood and anxiety, and it's being elevated too long. So the result is basically ghrelin, I call it the gremlin hormone, because it escalates everything to obsession. And it could be anything. And this is where we did the podcast on rumination. This is where I get in rumination. Because if I'm obsessing, usually it's not about something good. Or I'm obsessed about something good that's in a bad way. But why this matters is gremlin doesn't just make you crave food. It influences my anxiety and depression. And think about those 3 things. Those 3 things are working against us. That's what hunger can do. And it's not just when I feel like I'm hungry. It is these little things that almost set us up to be pissed off and to react. And I didn't know all that. Now, the person that told me this, I don't know if she knew that HALT meant all these things. I just found this out. I'm 54, going to be 55, so I'm late to the party. And so if you knew that and you're in your 30s, 40s, say bless your heart to me and move on. But think about this. Are you prepared for your day?
You were talking about hitting up a couple of cappuccinos or espressos before you eat too. I don't know, just curious. I typed it into ChatGPT take it with a grain of salt. ChatGPT is still wrong sometimes. But it says cortisol is strongly elevated by caffeine.
Oh, yes.
But it does, on the short term, suppress ghrelin production.
Well, what happens is once it kicks in, it short-term turns down gremlin, and then gremlin fucking comes back after you're gone with the cortisol level. And so it's like they freaking do a tag team. It's like if you've ever watched the old, tag team matches from WWF and AWE, it's like the old stuff. Here, give me, okay, boom.
So it's a temporary spike in cortisol, and then when ghrelin comes back, it comes back meaner than it would have the first time. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So what's amazing about this is hunger, HALT, influences angry, lonely, and tiredness. And when I'm talking about angry, I'm not talking about, okay, think about this. Gremlin plus cortisol equals you're ready to fight your boss, your dog, your fridge. I mean, everything, boom. My emotional filters disappears, okay? So where does that for me? It usually is anger. And loneliness is not necessarily, like, oh my God, I'm lonely. It's not, but it could be isolation. It's that emotional, I'm separate from, I did that the other day. I was literally like, oh, but then it also affects, hungry and lonely. The ghrelin affects both my appetite and the emotional bonding piece, which I didn't understand. And this is just so everybody knows. And Joe, I don't know if we do this. I don't know if it's there, but these are studies, and literally these are taken from 2024 studies from Ackerman's, a 2015 study from Appetite Journal. So these are from studies. I'm not just pulling this out of the air, okay? The study actually on loneliness, women who felt lonely after meals had significantly stronger hunger cues and reported emotional withdrawal even when fed. And so if you think about this, it affects both our appetite, our idea of appetite, and our emotional bonding, which is our loneliness, which triggers our loneliness. So tired, that's kind of easy. No fuel, no food equals no fuel equals emotional burnout. When I get into a no fuel situation, my brain prioritizes survival, not nuance or joy. And believe you me, when I am hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, I am not looking for nuance, and I am not worried about joy. I am usually going in on on a mission. And not, like on a Dirty Dozen mission. Speaking of old movies. But think about this. And women, if you're listening to this, I've kind of done this in a couple categories, and this is, the perimenopause. That's the other thing we've got going on here. So our hormones are doing different things. Like between 30 and 45 perimenopause, and again, you can be at different ages for when you're hitting perimenopause. But estrogen supports serotonin. Serotonin, happy drug, happy hormone, But skipping meals increases your mood swings, your irritability, and your sugar crashes. And that's, again, a study that was done on specifically perimenopause women, and in Women's Journal of Health. And it found that the caloric restriction amplified anxiety and emotional reactivity in women under 45. Now, I want to tell you something. When I read this, I was like, oh, and then I read it again. They found that the caloric restriction amplified anxiety and emotional reactivity in women under 45. And what I caught about this was what age of women are targeted the most to be on a diet, to look good, to get a man, to be all of those things. It's that age group. So look good, get on a diet, restrict your calorie, like don't eat fast, all of these things. And I'm not saying don't do them. I'm saying understand what you're doing to your body and how it affects with your hormones. And I just thought that was really interesting that at that time where when you do this, it has, skipping meals, mood swings, irritability, and sugar crashes. We're literally surrounded by information that tells us to be thin, to be this, to be that doesn't support, hey, go eat. Go eat. Maybe you're hungry. So think about it. Think about when you choose your diet, when you choose what you're doing. How does that work? Not just with your body, like I'm working out and I look good, but how does it work with your hormones? Because it's going to be affecting them. And then maybe when it's all played together and it goes in this balance, your reaction, I'm not saying you don't have a reaction. I'm not saying you're getting pissed. I'm not saying you're never going to get lonely. I'm not saying you're going to get tired. But I'm saying you don't have all this extra baggage preventing you from reacting and showing up in the way that you want to.
Great leadership doesn't start with a title. It starts with bold action. Christine Spratly works with high-performing teams that include anything from boards, councils, and project teams to cut through the noise, craft clear strategies, and most importantly, implement them. No fluff, no endless planning cycles, just real, fearless execution. With humor, practical insights, and a fearless approach, after working with Christine, leaders will step up, take action, and make shit happen. Book her now at ChristineSpratly.com.
So then we get the postmenopausal and menopausal stage and all that fun stuff, the 45 and nope. Estrogen drops, blood sugar level control weakens, skipping meals actually increases hot flashes, emotional chaos, and insomnia. And this was done off of an NIH study, working group study, reported that skipping meals worsened cognitive complaints, mood swings, and sleep disruption in perimenopausal women and in menopausal women. And this was done on the study of nutrition and the menopausal transition. And so again, I'm just telling you this to know where you're at. Be aware of where you're at. I mean, I was not. I was so not aware of what was going on with me hormonally. So I had no idea how my eating, how my non-eating, I remember literally going in with, I would go to Starbucks and I would get 2 venti soy lattes, 3 Splendas each, and I would go have them, and that was my breakfast. And I would sometimes not get lunch. And then I'd get a little lunch maybe around 2. And then I think about that, and I think about how much better I could have had my day if I was a little bit more regulated in my body. And my body was able to show up to help me and not to light my ass on fire, because I was putting out enough fires in work, in family, in whatever. And I'm just saying this because I'm being honest. I didn't know. And so put it in your pantry. Think about it. And I used to just think about how I ate from a body perspective of, is it healthy? Is it this? Is it that? I didn't think about it of, how does it help with my hormones? What does it do?
Can I tell you a story that happened to my daughter who has POTS?
Yeah, because this is interesting. This is the first time you've shared about that.
So I learned something from her doctor that I didn't realize was a thing. Like, I knew this. Like, and I think a lot of people might have never thought about how different they are. But like, sometimes we call people who are acting emotionally hormonal, but emotions are different than hormone responses. They're a different set of things. That's why they have their own names. They do different things. But anyways, what POTS can do to my daughter and why her POTS symptoms got better from anxiety medication. So she has anxiety, like emotional anxiety, the kind that is triggered by external things in her life. Stimuli. Thank you. And but what POTS does is can mess with your hormones in a way that spikes your just the right amount of hormones that makes your body think that it's anxious when there's no anxiety. And this has a name, and I didn't know it had a name, but it's called interoceptive prediction error. Your brain fills in the blanks, says, we got these chemicals, this is going on in your life, and then you start to feel as if it's going on in your life. And I think that really lines up with what you're talking about. If you think, oh, it's no big deal, you don't just tell an angry lady to eat a sandwich. Of course you don't do that. But
not unless you want to get smacked.
Yes, that's a great way to get smacked. But you can, understanding the fact that what's going on in your brain might be making you feel a way that you're trying to diagnose a problem that you don't have right then.
Or, or I'm going to tell you that it's telling you it's a 5 along fire and it's just a little flame.
It could, or it's your brain kind of filling in the blanks in a way that you could circumvent in a very ususeful way to be like, oh, I'm feeling super anxious. But if I ate a sandwich, it would.
If I fed me, well, and this is what I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that you're not dealing with something that's triggering you.
Right.
I'm not saying that, like, I'm saying, yeah, there's an asshole at work and he's fucking with you. Okay? Well, then prepare for it. Like, you don't need, that's hard enough. You don't need to have these other things in your brain going, yeah, he is the evil empire. You know? Like, right. And also what I've realized too with this is, like you were saying, you just mentioned it, is that it literally cuts off your ability to problem solve in a way that's not in fight or flight. And we have so many more options than 2. We have so many more options than just fighting, throwing down, or getting the fuck out of there. And if I am not able to, because my body is not able to assist in that, then my options become very limited, which then escalates the situation. So I want to be very clear. I'm not saying it ain't a fire.
Right.
I'm just saying there might be ways to put it out, and you might not be able to see those ways to put it out because your body hasn't been fed. And so it's giving you either less of the chemicals or more of the chemicals that are putting you into fight or flight mode. Is that?
Right. Yeah. And if you stop and check in, what might be happening is sometimes you're not overreacting. It's just your hormones are like freelancing as drama writers.
Yeah.
You know, your brain's filling in all these gaps and you're creating your brain is creating a scenario that may not be what's matching what's actually happening externally.
And I want to be clear. This also happens in guys.
Sure.
One of the difference when it comes to HALT is that it kicks in more with women, especially the gremlin hormone. It just does. We have a higher level. So again, don't tell me to fucking calm down. You know, I'll calm you down. But I typically now, I do have things around me. I do have snacks and things like that. And it may sound silly, but I don't care. I'd rather be silly than psychotic. And I don't like, especially if I think you're an asshole, I don't like apologizing. So I try to not do things that make me have to apologize to people. You know, I don't always do it because I have a good heart. I have to do it because I don't like you and I don't want to have to come back. So the whole idea of this little pantry is, you know, HALT is your daily snack bag. You know, it's usable. Stop. HALT. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? You know, and usually hungry is ramping up. You know, it's like the little instigator, you know, angry, lonely, and tired. So just check in. Stop right there, and just go. Okay, What did I eat? Not what did I just drink? What did I eat? Okay. Angry. Okay. Is HALT affecting that? Am I pissed off? What am I pissed off about? And anger is, I think for me as a woman, I wouldn't let me be angry until I just blew my fuse. And that was the only anger I recognized. Anger to me, right, when I recognize it now, is it's in my body. I literally go well, what the fuck? Like every time I say what the fuck, it's a little bit of anger. It's a little bit, and it's not, and for me, anger and I don't have I still am angry about my anger. I don't have I'm still coming to know anger and being okay with it. But what is it? What is making me, how angry am I? And should I declare war or should I set just a boundary? Maybe the other person needs to frickin' eat. Maybe that's why they're an asshole. And you've heard me say this before. Life's a contact sport. Put on your pads and play. And sometimes when I go, ooh, I'm pissed, it's like, okay, Christine, put on your pads. Get your buttons and put them on the inside so people stop bumping around with them. Am I lonely? And this is one that I actually have a lot of experience with. And it is, do I feel apart from is another way. Do I feel apart from? Is it harder when I pick up the phone and call my friend and I'm in a good mood, I just pick up the phone and call her. When I am lonely, I pick up the phone and go, I wonder if she's busy. It starts to creep in like, I don't want to bother them. I wonder what they'll think, and I will tell you this, the phone never gets any lighter. It only gets heavier with time. So make the call, be around people. And for me, when I'm lonely, sometimes I just need to be around energy. So I will put myself around energy that's inviting. Go to the dog park. I'll go do these things because I live by myself, and sometimes my friends are all busy and it's just me. Friday night was a big example. I went and got my, because I knew I'd had a rough week. So I went and got my nails done. And then I went to a grocery store that in my old neighborhood where I knew the people that worked on Friday night. And I'd always come in there and for ice cream sandwiches. And so I went in and there was energy. They said hi to me and I talked to them. And, I just, when I'm like that, think about that. And then tired. Just stop. I was told this not last week, but the week before, because I was really having a rough time and I was burning the candle. And I do that. And someone said, Christine, just shut down. This isn't going to hurt your business for you to quit and stop for the rest of the day. I mean, very few times, if I am really honest, am I that important that I can't just stop and shut down for a second and pause? And it may not even be take a nap, but it means disengage. Literally. And I've started to do this. I used to just always bring my phone when I was with the pups and when I'd take them out and let them run. And I just take them out now sometimes and I don't even have my phone and I just enjoy. And I'm tired, but I just enjoy. And and I breathe. So, HALT, stop. Stop touching the keyboard. Stop amping it up. And I'm not saying the asshole ain't in front of you, but just stop. Because typically when I don't stop, I do a lot of damage. And it's a bitch cleaning that stuff up, whether it be in my professional life or my personal life. So what do? I do have snacks. I do. Because like I said, I was glad that you were late because I went and ate. I got some protein. I got some fat, So my goal here for me anyway is normalizing fueling myself. Okay. I try to make it, atomic habits, make it easy, make it something that you're going to do, put it around you so it's easy to do. And I make them realistic habits. Like I don't go through and go, I'm going to eat this work plan for this day, blah, 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 blah. But some easy snacks that I do. I don't, I've tried cleanses and I'm not saying those things don't work, but understand how it's going to affect your hormones. Okay. I do snacking a lot, and I've got some other things that I'll tell you about, but the snacks that I do are, I do a lot of chopsticks. I'll do beef jerky a ton. I do cheese. I do the little cheese things because it's protein and fat and it stabilizes my mood pretty quickly. And when I'm craving, the protein helps. I do apples and almond butter or peanut butter. I love peanut butter, but I don't do it as much anymore. My dogs eat all my peanut butter. Actually, it's dog peanut butter. But I do that. It's fiber and fat, and that gives me energy. I love Greek yogurt and berries, and I put a little honey on that. But it's like real authentic Greek yogurt because that's just what I love, because I went over there actually on our honeymoon and I fell in love with actual Greek yogurt and honey. But I do a little berries, and that gives me my boost for the brain and the gut love. So I do, protein shakes sometimes. But I'm not selling any of those things here, but look at it, see what it needs, see what your body needs, and then make sure it gives you what you need. This is one thing that I started, and I didn't even know that it was actually good, but I do hard-boiled eggs. I do hard-boiled eggs and hot sauce. Hard-boiled eggs, hot sauce with a pickle spear. I know it sounds weird. It sounds like I'm pregnant, but I'm not. But that is, it's usually fast and easy, and it's satisfying. One of the things that I came across was sous vide. And if you don't know what sous vide is, basically it cooks, it's a thing of water, and it cooks at a certain temperature, and you just leave it, you set it, forget it, and you're good. And it's really freaking easy. It sounds really la-di-da, but it's really freaking easy. And I came across this literally by accident. I was looking for sous vide bags. That's all I was looking for. And what I came across was sous vide once a week. And it's streetsmartkitchen.com. And I watched a video, and this lady did this meal prep all through sous vide. She sous vide once a week for the whole week and did this meal plan. And so I was looking into it, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then what I really liked, she gives you everything. Like, she literally tells you, this is so cool. She would give you pick out, your recipes, and then she would say, okay, you have a day, you go buy all this crap, and then And then on the day you sous vide, she would give you, set it at this temperature, prep this while that's setting, and then put it in and let it go. And then you prep the next thing. So it's literally like it's an assembly line, boom, 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 boom. And then the next, you do that for 4 hours and you're done. And the great thing about it was, of course, I don't ever follow anything. I may follow the rules once, but then I would do it on days that I worked at home. I would put it in for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it was. And I'd, cook that. But it actually worked. And then you've heard me talk about my registered dietitian. I ran the menu by her. And she's like, no, this is a great menu. It gives you all those things. And so I learned how to sous vide hard-boiled eggs. But literally, what I walked away from when I got done is I would have, I think, 3 proteins, okay? And you sous vide them, so I did them in individual packs. So I had 3 proteins for all week long, different amounts. And then I had 4 different types of vegetable or sides. And then I had some sauces and stuff like that. So the way this would work is I'd do it all in one day. I'd put it in the fridge. And then I remember one of the first times, it was like magic. David called my ex, and and of course I was working, so I wasn't thinking about it. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta make dinner. And it's like 4:30. And I was like, oh, I have this. And he called, and he was on his way home. And I think he was in South Carolina for something, and he was coming back. And he's like, I'm going to be there around this. And I was like, I literally said, what do you want? Pork chops, chicken, steak, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I want this. And I said, okay, what vegetables do you want? Do you want, and I think that night it was, that week it was Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, asparagus, or something else. He's like, I want this. And I said, okay. And then I went down and I was like, okay, I want pork chops and I want Brussels sprouts. And I took them out of the fridge because they were in individual packages. I put them in a little hot water, warmed them up. And then right when he came home, I opened him up, put them in the pan, browned them up, put the Brussels sprouts and the asparagus in little, things, and put them in the Breville, the oven, and warmed them up and crisped them up. And boom, it was there. And it was so easy and it was so great because we could have different things. And I didn't have to make something on Monday and go, I'm going to eat this on Monday. It's like I had a menu, and I eat like that. And again, it was one of those things. So I started doing that for my lunches. Like you can have it for as much as you want. And I started doing that so I could, I don't have time to run downstairs and cook a lunch. Or I don't know what I feel like for lunch, but I would go down and I would have this kind of menu of stuff to pull from. And it would be in single serving sizes. And the great thing about it was I would get to like Wednesday and I'd be like, yeah, I don't think we're going to eat this, or we're going to eat out, tomorrow night. And I'd go throw it in the freezer. And it was just awesome. The other thing I'm going to say about this lady is she went from, the way this started was she went from a huge kitchen in Texas, Dallas, Texas, if I remember right, to living over in Japan, working full time, had a child in a kitchen that had no oven, and, just trying to make it work like we all do. We're all trying to make it work. And then she came up with this, and it was really wonderful for me. And I hope it helps you. But the thing that I'm trying to tell you and explain is not tell you as in go do it. But for me, I had to learn what was helping me and what was hurting me when I was trying to show up and interact with the world. And so what helps me is when I can go halt and see, when have I eaten? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And how is not eating making me want to, throat punch you and kick your ass? Like, how is that? Or how is it making me go, I only have 2 options when there's 24 options? How is it that I can't seem to, let it go? Why am I still pissed off at the driver who cut me off? He's gone. He took the exit. And so many times I thought, you were saying this show, it's emotional and there must be something wrong with me that I have to work through. And I think we're programmed to just always work on ourselves and always eat less, be less, deny, just be nice little girls. And it's not that. Sometimes it's just my body egging me on in the wrong direction. So I hope that HALT will give you a couple things. I hope it's in your pantry and you go, wow, have I eaten? And it makes you realize that you're not freaking crazy. Your body may be going, hoo-hoo. You may be dealing with an asshole, but give your body what it needs so you can deal with them. And the other thing is that I hope it gives you an opportunity to learn about your body and to really honor the fact that you have these amazing hormones and understand what they do for you. Because as a woman, that is our gift. It isn't our enemy. That is our gift. And so what we can do is we can learn about it and figure out how to use it and how to, it's wielding that sword, And so when you're about ready to smack somebody, and they may well deserve it, but it may not be in your best interest to do it. HALT. Am I hungry? When's the last time I ate? Like, seriously. Am I angry? Am I lonely? And am I tired? And if I am, those 3 things or those 4 things or any of them, see how it's interacting with any of the others. See how hunger is, being an instigator. And just give your body what it needs. We always say that our bodies are our temples. Why shortchange it? Bring everything you've got to support you in your effort to deal with life. So put it in your pantries, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. And Street Smart Kitchen does not even know that I'm mentioning their name. So go to it, streetsmartkitchen.com, and it's a 6 days a week thing, maximum 2 hours hand prep, and once a week you cook. So do it. See if it works for you. See what works for you, and then tinker with it. Like, it's your cake. You get to write your recipe. You get to figure out what works for you. And again, that is the joy of our journey, is, as we talked about earlier, Joe, we didn't tape this, but as we talked about earlier, it is being in the hallway. It is being in the learning zone. So go learn about yourself. Go figure it out. But when you get like that, halt. Until next time, ladies, tubs.
Thanks for tuning in to Fear with Christine Spratly. Living like a head in charge. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, tell her what topics you want to hear, and share this episode with someone who could use a pantry full of boldness in their life. Remember, life isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell. So show up, take action, and keep saying fear.